Demand emanates from the decision people make in order to satisfy their wants subjected to the available resources or means. Therefore, in the economic sense, one demands something or a product if one intends to purchase the good and have the necessary means or purchasing power to do so. Thus, demand refers to all the quantities of a good or service that the potential buyers are willing and able to buy. This should not be confused by needs and claims, as these lack the purchasing power element. Demand is measured over a period of time. If we combine the individual demand for all households in a particular market at a particular time period, we obtain the market demand. To analyze the concept of demand further, we will use four methods, namely words, schedules, curves or graphs, and equations. Remember, the market demand consists of all combined individual demand from all households in a particular market. Now let's consider a household member like you with the necessary means to purchase a product like tomatoes. The question I would ask is, what factors influence a household plans to purchase tomatoes over a particular time period? The first factor that we would consider is the price of the product. The cheaper the tomatoes, the more quantities of tomatoes a household is willing and able to purchase, ceteris paribus. The second factor is the price of related products. Our plans to purchase any product depend on the prices of the other related products. For example, in the case of complement goods, which are goods that are used together or jointly, a household would purchase tomatoes in relation to the bread and other ingredients that he or she wants to use in making a sandwich. On the other hand, in the case of substitute goods, which are goods that are used to replace the good in question, a household would prefer to use avocados in making sandwich if tomatoes are too expensive. The third factor that one would consider would be the income of the consumers. The household plans to purchase tomatoes depends on the purchasing power ability, that is, a household with a higher income is able and can plan to purchase more tomatoes as compared to a household with a lower income. The fourth factor that we would consider is the taste or preference of the consumer. A household plan to buy tomatoes will also be influenced by their tastes or preferences. That is, if a household like dishes with tomatoes as an ingredient, then they will plan to buy more tomatoes. On the other hand, if a household do not like tomatoes or they are under doctor's orders not to consume tomatoes, then fewer or none tomatoes will be demanded. Thus, taste or preferences can have a positive or negative impact on quantity demanded. The fifth factor that one would consider is the number of household. The larger this household member size is, the more the quantity of tomatoes will be demanded. Apart from the 5 determinants we have so far discussed, there are other reasons like cultural beliefs that drives a household plans to purchase a specific product. Therefore, all those other possible reasons are also accounted for. Nevertheless, some of these possible reasons might not apply to all households in the country, but to a specific community or group of people. Please note that demand decisions are independent of the supply situation. This simply implies that demand for any product is not determined by the availability or supply of the product in the market. After acquiring and discussing the important determinants of demand for a specific product, in our case that is tomatoes, we can say in words that The quantity of a good demanded in a particular period depends on or is a function of the price of the good, the price of related goods, the income of the household, consumer tastes or preferences, the number of consumers or households members, and any other possible influence. Recall that the determinants of demand for a particular product can be generally stated in words as the quantity of a good demanded in a particular period depends on or is a function of the price of the good, the price of related goods, the income of the household, consumer tastes, the number of consumers, and any other possible influence. These words can be confusing at times. Hence, we use symbols as a shortened method of expressing economic theory. For example, let QD represent the quantity of tomatoes demanded in a particular period. PX represents the price of the good or tomatoes. PG represents the price of related goods, be it substitute goods or complement goods. Y represents the household's income during the period. T represents the taste or preferences of consumers. N represents the number of consumers in the market. And there's 3 dots will give allowance for other possible influences. With these symbols, we can express demand as QD is equal to a function of PX, PG, Y, T, N, and the 3 dots, where PX represents the price of the good, PG represents the price of related goods, Y represents the household's income during the period, T represents the taste of the consumers, and then N represents the number of consumers, with the 3 dots giving allowance for other possible influences. The crucial determinants of demand for any product is probably the price. Hence, the relationship between the price of the product and quantity demanded is very important to economics, as it has been accorded the status of a law. The law of demand states that, other things being equal, that is ceteris paribus, the higher the price of a good, the lower the quantity demanded. Likewise, the lower the price of a good, the higher the quantity demanded.